folks, welcome back to CCL Sports Cards. I thought I'd take this opportunity, and I have talked about it in a few episodes. I want to have a conversation about the state of the sports card market, especially as it relates to you fans and what you come to this channel for, and that's baseball cards. Because let's be fair, the baseball card market, it's been tough, especially as it relates to prospects. Now, I did an episode a little over a year ago where I talked about the market potentially going down, and you could see it happening as prices really began to slide. Wax telegraphed it pretty well. The price of wax just began to crater. And personally, I didn't have the right tools at my disposal to unload my wax when it was a lot higher, so I just watched the price come down and down and down. And then eventually what happened was, I ended up selling some of my wax at a loss, but more on that later. You could see this coming from a mile away. Now, again, baseball cards have gotten bad. I mean, unless your name is Ohtani or Elly De La Cruz or Corbin Carroll, those players, I mean, their cards are on another planet right now. And there's always exceptions in any market where there are cards or investments that hold up really well. But generally speaking, let's be fair, baseball prospecting, it's dead. It seems like everybody has just left the party. The punch bowl is dry, the price of prospects keeps coming down, and there's only one or two of us left over to party. As sort of an analogy, it's like 4 o'clock in the morning and the party's over. But in my experience, this is kind of the best time to be at a party, is when there's nobody left, because there's lots of stuff left over. And this, in my experience, this is the best time to be at a party. I'll relate it to baseball cards. Prospects in general are dirt cheap, and you've got your pick of the litter. So if you stayed at the party a little bit too late and you're not drunk, you can have whatever drink you want. And there's lots of it. So again, this is the best time to be in baseball cards. Now, I say that to you all as a relatively successful investor. I've been invested in real estate for years and the stock market. And I can tell you that what we're going through with baseball prospects, it's cyclical. When the market is strong, be it in baseball cards, real estate, or stocks, and everything is going up, it's a party and everybody thinks things will go up forever. But in my experience, that's rarely the case. Just like the stock market in 2008, it went down. But what happened was, everyone left the party, and what you could do if you had the cash was pick up incredible companies for a great price. And that is precisely what is happening right now with baseball cards. Now, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I know when the market is going to recover. I'm not going to do that. Nobody knows. I mean, if they do, they're lying to you. But I will tell you that markets eventually recover, and you'll have spent all this time picking up baseball cards of players who were dirt cheap. And prices will inevitably rise. Unfortunately, we just don't know when that is. The tide will turn, and I promise you, at some point, it may be 5 years, prices will rise again. It's just a pattern. And I'm betting with my money, as I always tell you on this show, that sports cards, while they're a collectible, will most likely follow the same pattern. Now, while cash flow is a little lighter these days, I mean, if you follow the economy at all, which I do, and it's hard if you have a mortgage or you have bills or you buy groceries, the price of everything is higher. And what that translates into is less money for collectibles. And I myself, I spent over $100,000 to build CCL over the last couple of years. And about a year ago, before interest rates started their meteoric rise, which was necessary actually, it's important, it cost me maybe like $200 a month to kind of service the loans, to pay the bills. However, as interest rates have gone up, it's costing me over $600 or $700 to service the loans. So even I'm not, what's the word here? I'm having the exact same difficulties as a lot of collectors are. The cash flow has just dried up. Now, my levels of debt were much higher, and I've brought them down. I had to deleverage. There was just too much debt, and I had to sell some things I didn't want to sell, but I did need to raise cash. All this brings me to my point. I think it's important to stay in baseball cards. Sell what it is that you're really not attached to. to raise cash so you have money to spend. Don't take on more debt. I mean, that, to be honest with you, I'm saying that with my own opinion. Taking on more debt is probably not going to solve the problem. I know this from experience as well. Sell what you don't want to raise cash to buy what you do want. An example of what to sell would be something like high pop first Bowman Chrome PSA 10s. You know, with 20,000 of these cards and then more in years to come, don't wait around and hope they go back up, because that's not the kind of thing that's going to go back up. There's just too many of them. The price for high pop cards like that is probably going to stay low for a very, very long time. They're just not a good asset. They're fun to collect, but don't feel like you have to wait and hope for it to go back up. That's just not a good strategy in my experience. And for all we know, by the time the market bounces back, a lot of these first Bowman Chrome, the players on these cards, I mean, they could be 30 years old or retired. That's unless they make the haul, that's not really going to help their card prices. So sell what you don't want. A few tips for me if you're looking for some tips is do what I'm doing. I'm buying lower pop cards of MLB stars or NHL stars of guys who are having sort of a down year. And I talked about a little bit about this with Brent in, our episode on Brutus on Baseball. But I'm also buying prospects who are 20 years old, who have shown that they can succeed in pro ball at some level. And perhaps they're having a down year, but their prices are depressed, so we can pick them up for next to nothing. And if they're like 20 years old, you've got what's important. You've got time on your side for the market to recover. I mean, if you're a baseball guy, buy some Mike Trout Bowman Chrome autos if you've got the money. Those cards were like 5 times more expensive like a year ago. And I think we can all agree Mike Trout is headed for the Hall, and there's only so many Mike Trout cards to go around. For me, if you've been watching my Just Invested episodes, I've been buying some hockey as well. Guys like Sidney Crosby and Patrick Kane. I mean, those cards, the print runs are finished and they're low pop. My PSA 10 Patrick Kane Future Watch auto, there's 31 in the pop count. When the market recovers, the price of this is probably going to go way, way up. In closing, guys, nobody knows when the market will recover. And when it's going down like this, we all feel like it's going to go down forever and everything is going to zero. And that probably is true for a few cards, like the low pop ones. They're going to be pretty close to zero, and is my guess. They're just going to be fun collectibles to have. But much like any other investment, be it like wine, which is more of a collectible, when cash gets tight, or let's use another example. Something like sports cars, really fun sports cars, things that are collectible. When cash gets tight, and interest rates kind of go way, way up, and it costs more to pay your mortgage or your car loan, people pull back on the things they don't need, things that are discretionary, things like wine, sports cards, sports cars, collectibles. They're just not a part of the fashion show anymore because people have to worry about their day-to-day living expenses. But I will tell you, in a few years, maybe 4 years, 5 years, who knows, could be sooner, when rates do come down and credit gets cheaper again, this cycle will probably repeat itself and collectibles will once again be popular in the fashion show. Folks, thank you so much for watching. And ask any questions you might have in the comments. I'd love to hear your thoughts about how things are going for you. And do yourself a favor. Maybe go, if you have the cash, maybe go nibble and buy a few cards that are on sale. But that said, folks, keep in mind that anything said on this channel is strictly my opinion and should be taken as such. Wishing you folks an incredible week.